first time I voted, it was so significant because it was the first presidential election when 18-year-olds could vote, and it was during the Vietnam War. I'd been a teenager and knew all the arguments about 18-year-olds being drafted, dying in Vietnam, but not being able to vote. So in 1972, it was 1 year after the 26th Amendment was added to the Constitution, was the first presidential election, and I was in that group, 18 to 20-year-olds that could vote for the first time. I was out of state in college, so I had to vote absentee, which at that point was a bit of a process, but I was very determined and so excited to be able to vote. It was so meaningful. It was such a momentous time. There was so much going on in the country, but it was such a positive affirmation of our voice in a democracy. To this day, I think because of that beginning experience, I will never not vote. I could never not vote. It's so many things. It's being a part of an effort, whether it's successful or not, but being part of an effort to try and improve things and make life better for people. I just love going in to vote. I always vote on election day. Never vote early because I like that feeling of going in to vote. I think there's always a smile on my face when I'm walking out. And now as an adult, I have learned so much more. My father's law partner was William McCulloch, and he had such an instrumental role to play in the Civil Rights Act of 1964, and then following in the Voting Rights Act of 1965 to provide rights for African Americans, and that whole struggle that went forward. And then a few years ago, I realized that my grandmother, who I knew as a child, was born in 1885, and so was 35 years old when women got the right to vote, and it just struck me that it hasn't been that long, and that the struggle for women's right to vote was just a generation away from me. So I'm excited to vote. I taught government and used to register my students to vote, and it's actually one of the proudest things I did as a teacher was to take those voter registration forms down to the Board of Elections and turn them in and know that my students had voluntarily filled them out and were then going to be a new generation that was excited to vote as well.